So anyway, good morning everybody and welcome to our orientation on Physics 71.1. So, unang-una sa lahat, I will be your instructor. I am Gerald Angelo Catindig, but you can call me Sir Gerald instead. So for this mid-year, I am teaching both Physics 71 and Physics 71.1. If ever you want to contact me for concerns sa ating subject for this mid-year, you can contact me using these emails. So, itong academic email ko and personal email, pwede nyo parehas i-email yan kapag may concerns kayo. Yung pinaka-convenient for both you and me probably will be through Discord, provided na sumali na kayo doon sa ating Discord channel. And lastly, you can also contact me through my mobile number as stated here. Pero ito, as much as possible, i-limit natin to emergencies na lang. Yung pag-contact through cellphone. So, consultation hours. If you expect an immediate reply, probably dapat mag-message kayo sa akin within this time frame. So, this is just working hours lang naman, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Okay, so enough about me. Now let's move on to the subject itself. So yung orientation natin for today, we can divide it into 4 parts. So, unang-una, let's talk about the course itself. So pangalawa, calendar, which is actually quite important ngayong mid-year kasi medyo mabilis ang pacing natin, to be honest. So number 3, platforms to use para madali tayo magkaintindihan, mag-usap, etc. And lastly, on-course policies. So unang-una about the course, Physics 71.1 is a course designed to develop your basic skills in taking and reporting scientific observations and to give a better understanding of the concepts of classical mechanics. This course is the first of the series of elementary physics lab courses and is for students who are currently taking or have taken Physics 71. So I would just like to emphasize this part here, itong huli. So this is for students who are currently taking or have taken Physics 71. So dito, I actually have a requirement for you later, provided that hindi pa nagagawa. It's some sort of proof na may Physics 71 din kayo ngayon. But I'll cover it in more detail later. So moving on. So we have here 4 learning outcomes after you have completed this course. Basically, we want you to learn how to develop basic skills in taking and reporting scientific observations, value the role of direct observation to the development of theory and vice versa, develop collaborative learning skills, and lastly, to gain a better understanding of the concepts of classical mechanics. So, we will be doing this course through your course materials. Yung course materials natin will consist of worksheets, supplementary material, and your summary report. So let's first talk about your worksheets. So yung worksheets natin, 80% ng final grade. So all in all, meron tayong 6 na worksheets. So lumalabas na ang isang worksheet ay 80/6 or 13.33% kada worksheet. So yung laman ng isang worksheet, so meron tayong data sheets. So for example, ito actually yung unang worksheet na makikita nyo. So yung sections ng worksheet will be data sheet with sample calculations and meron ding part na magka-calculate kayo using the concepts outlined in the worksheet itself. So yung second part ng worksheets naman ay mga questions. So normally puro conceptual ito, pero I think merong odd 1 or 2 out na may calculation involved. Pero mostly, ang questions ay how well you understand what you are doing dito sa particular experiment na ito. So after your worksheet, the remaining 20% of your grade will be due to a summary report. So yung summary report will be the output you will be giving me for your last experiment, which is yung pangpito. Pangpitong experiment nyo yan. So ang summary report basically ay isang article. So an article with an introduction, abstract, with a discussion on your results and discussion, and the conclusion. So this is very different from your worksheet. Pero of course, i-guide ko naman kayo kung paano gawin yan. So down the line, we will have a workshop on how to do this summary report. So this will be around the last week of our classes. So sa huli pa naman ito. Okay, so regarding our requirements and about the course, any questions so far ba? Okay, we're good. Okay, so let's move on. So next, let's talk about our grading system. So, yung grading system natin, we will be taking a numerical system just like with every other course in UP. So I'd like to call your attention to our lowest grade. So ngayong mid-year, we are still implementing yung no-fail policy, which you should all be familiar with na. So basically, if your grade percent is below 50%, yung equivalent na grade ninyo na makuha will be a drop instead of 5. So yung lowest na pwede nyo makuha is 4. Actually, this should be incomplete. So you won't fail the course. So now let's move on to our calendar. So as I mentioned earlier, ngayong mid-year, this is quite important kasi medyo compressed tayo for time. So we are currently doing our orientation ngayong June 21. Pero pansin nyo, ang ating mid-year will only be until August 5. So mabilisan lang tayo. Instead of the normal semester length, which is, I think it's about 3 or 4 months. Paki-correct na lang kung mali ako. Ngayon, we only have more than a month to complete everything. So, itong timeline natin for this course, so this week, you should be working on your first 2 experiments, ideally. While dun sa next week naman, yung experiments 2 and 3, dapat ang wino-work nyo. So may konting overlap dito sa experiment 2 na may 2 linggo na sakop, ideally. Tapos yung deadline ng ating first 3 experiments will be on July 5. So sama-sama na sila lahat. And after that, so meron tayong second set of experiments. So experiments 4, 5, and 6 na gagawin natin sa isa-isang linggo. So medyo mas maluwag ito, itong part na ito, experiments 4, 5, and 6. Ang deadline naman nila ay sa July 26. And lastly, yung ating experiment 7 and the summary report is due on August 4. So this is dulo na ng mid-year. Okay, so take note of these dates. Pero dun sa OVLIN naman, which I will show later, may mga submission bins naman na may corresponding deadlines. Okay? So, we have 7 experiments in all. So, ito yung mga topics na i-cover natin. So, we have experiment 1, measurements, uncertainty and deviation. Experiment 2, measuring devices. Experiment 3, free fall. So we have your projectile motion, rotation, buoyancy, and our last experiment, which is yung may summary report, is about the simple pendulum. All 7 of these topics are also covered in Physics 71. So ideally, yung pace ng Physics 71 at 71.1 ay dapat sabayan. So except for these first 2 experiments na hindi mako-cover sa Physics 71, dapat halos yung free fall, projectile, rotation, buoyancy, and simple pendulum, dapat kino-cover yan sa Physics 71 at the same time frame as when we are doing these experiments. Okay, so about our course calendar. So may mga tanong ba tayo? Questions or concerns? Okay, none? All right, let's move on. So number 3, platforms to use. So anong mga communication na pwede natin gawin throughout the semester? So una-una, as I mentioned earlier, dun sa aking instructor profile, pwede niyo akong i-email. So kapag magse-send kayo ng email sa akin, so i-cover yan mamaya sa class etiquette. But basically, makikita naman lahat ito. Makikita ko naman lahat ng iyong communication. So email is your first option. So pangalawa, you have your OVLE module. May option dito sa OVLE that you can message your instructor. So hanapin nyo lang yung chat box doon sa top right. So let's share our OVLE. So i-expand ko lang yung screen ko. I'm gonna stop my sharing lang. Sandali. Share natin si OVLE. Wait. Yan. Okay. So meron namang message dito. So you can also directly reach me through this message features of OVLE. Thus next, we have Discord. So ang Discord naman natin, nakasali naman na kayo lahat, hopefully. So share ko lang ulit. So dito sa Discord natin, we have here dedicated channels for questions on each experiment. So preferably, kung may tanong kayo about a particular experiment, dito nyo i-post. So limbawa, may tanong ka sa experiment 1 na okay lang sa'yo na makita ng lahat. Hindi nyo kailangan i-PM sa akin. Dito kayo sa channel na experiment 1 mag-post. Alternatively, kung sa experiment 2, dito kayo mag-post, sa 3, etc. etc. Tapos if hindi naman related sa experiments and gusto niyo pa rin magtanong sa akin publicly, okay lang din naman dito sa general kayo magtanong. So, itong general na channel na ito, this is basically for anything naman. Okay, so let's go back to our slides. So now let's move on to our class netiquette. So, kung mag-email kayo, so I would prefer sana na meron kayong subject tag. Kasi para lang ma-identify ko agad kung saan kayo. So for reference, your section is FBC-1. So isulat nyo na lang yan sa tag kapag mag-i-email kayo para mas madali. Mas madali ko makita. Yung concern mo rin, mas ma-address ko. So, if you're going to use SMS or calls, sabi ko nga, in case of emergencies, sabihin nyo naman sa akin kung sino kayo para ma-identify ko at mas maagapan ko agad ang inyong problema. Preferably, kung gagamitin nyo yung mobile ko para mag-communicate, mas okay na mag-text kayo. Pero kung kailangan talaga, pwede niyo akong tawagan din. Under extreme cases, note lang na hindi ko babayaran yung load niyo kung prepaid kayo, ha? So, Discord server, lastly, you can chat anything in our Discord server. Ayun nga, sabi ko kanina, let's respect the designation of the text channels by sending appropriate content. So again, in-address ko na to. Kung may content kayo na tingin nyo hindi appropriate for any experiment, doon na lang sa general i-post yan. So ito, ayun nga, wala din naman ito. So unless very specific, I will only answer questions if posted on the appropriate text channel. So don't mind this guideline so much. So next, kailan ba ako dapat mag-communicate kay Sir Gerald? So basically, preferably during class period or during consultation hours. Yung consultation hours ko again, basta working hours, basta office hours rather, okay yan sa akin. Kung outside kayo mag-PM sa akin, pwede ko kayong ma-entertain, pero mag-expect na kayo ng reasonable delay sometimes. Kasi after office hours, as with you, kayo, baka meron na rin akong ibang ginagawa. So, baka di ko kayo ma-address agad. So, please refrain from sending beyond working hours. So, again, okay lang naman, pero baka di ko kayo agad masagot. So, lastly, other matters. So, kayo, kung may changes sa inyong contact details, so yung mga binigay ninyo sa UP at the start of the semester or registration, pakisabi sa akin. So, similarly, kapag meron kayong trouble with your internet, cellphone, or electronic devices, sabihin nyo rin ako all the same. So, next, general guidelines. So, as I described earlier, Physics 71.1, meron tayong 7 experiment. So, number 2, read the course materials thoroughly and submit the necessary requirements. So, dito, I will be honest with you guys dito sa klase na ito. So, ang Physics 71.1 worksheets natin ay very comprehensive. As in, hindi nyo ako kailangan masyado dito sa course na ito. Ang mangyayari lang dito, kailangan nyo lang basically basahin ng mabuti yung inyong worksheets kasi pinaprovide na nila lahat ng information, as in lahat ng kailangan nyo para maipasa yung course. So, siguro may some cases na baka ma-confuse kayo about some details dun sa experiment, pero generally, yung manual lang or worksheets yung kailangan ninyo. So, very important. I sent a message on Discord and Novle about this yesterday. So, all requirements are to be done by group with at most 3 members. So, I haven't received any groupings from this section yet. So, I assume it's because baka hindi pa kayo magkakilala. But, in case I'm wrong, remind ko lang kayo ulit about this grouping. So I'll give you guys until the end of the day to create your own groupings. If wala, I will post groupings tomorrow. Ako yung gagawa. Ako mag-group sa inyo into 3s na lang kung sakali. So number 4, we have here peer evaluation. So dahil group tayo, syempre ayaw natin ng pabigat yung isang kagrupo natin. So kaya dito pumapasok yung peer evaluation. So itong peer evaluation, you will be rating the performance of your group mates based on their contribution to a particular requirement. So bawat experiment may ganito. Kapag meron sa inyong hindi nag-submit ng peer evaluation form, full marks ang ibibigay sa inyong group mates. So the final score of your student for the said requirement will follow this particular formula. So again, wala naman itong bearing dun sa actual na score ng worksheet, pero yung peer evaluation is very important to use para pwede nating i-determine kung ang ating isang group member ay pwedeng i-expel from the group. So dito sa number 5, dito nag-relate yung peer evaluation. If your group mate is not performing in accordance with the group's wishes, you can actually tell me about it and we can expel that group member para mas madali ang buhay ninyo as a group. So, number 6, there will be at least one scheduled online consultation per week. So, students may consult their instructor about experiments, writing papers, and other matters relevant to the class. So, itong mga consultation na once a week, which we will set later, ay hindi required ang attendance. Pwedeng-pwede kayo na hindi pumasok as long as you do the experiments and of course communicate with your group mates about doing these experiments. Okay, so questions so far? Okay, we're good. So next. So let's discuss the summary report. So itong summary report, ito yung last na requirement natin for the experiment 7. So again, it's an entire article. So ang summary report, parang scientific paper yan. Meron siyang title, may abstract, introduction, results, discussion, and conclusion. So basically, pati yung formatting nakaset na dito. But we will be providing you with a summary report template which you can use to write your scientific article on the last experiment. So isang possible question, kailangan ba typewritten ang work? Actually, hindi naman. Although mas madali yon. Handwritten summary reports are acceptable basta naintindihan ko yung sulat ninyo. And of course, summary report, gaano kahaba ba dapat yan? Dapat at least, or at most 3 pages. So pwedeng 1, 2, or 3 pages lang yan. May deduction tayo actually if lumampas kayo sa number of pages na kailangan. So here we have other guidelines referring to the summary report. Pero of course, for now, hindi nyo pa naman kailangang alamin to lahat. So ito siguro pinaka-important dito sa slide na ito. So a writing workshop will be held before the deadline of submission of the summary report. So dito na lang natin i-discuss lahat ng details na ito about your summary report. Kasi uulitin ko rin naman lahat ng guidelines na ito by then. Okay, next section, submissions and deadlines. So the quiz module requires the answers in the worksheet to be submitted directly in Ovle. So basically, i-input nyo yung mga sagot ninyo directly sa Ovle module. Hindi doon sa worksheet. So you're not gonna actually submit the worksheet PDF, but rather, sulatan nyo lang yun as a guide for the Ovle module. So if you submit after the deadline, you will receive a grade of 0. So be careful with your deadlines. So again, we have here July 5 for experiments 1 to 3. Itong mga naka-red na cells. July 26 for experiments 4 to 6. And August 4 for your summary report, which is experiment 7. So next, the deadline of submission for peer evaluation will be the same as your experiment worksheets or submissions na sa Ovle module. So lastly dito, extension of deadlines can be given. So hindi naman tayo stricto na 0 kayo agad basta lumabas ng deadline. Kapag meron naman kayong special concern or valid reason, pwede namang ma-appeal na extend lang yung deadline nyo without deduction. So, grading policies. So, let's paspasan lang natin to. So a student's class standing at any given time is calculated and normalized over the available grade components. Basically, what this says is your grade will just be determined by what you submit to me. So if your standing is 60% and above, you will be considered passing and given a numerical grade. Pero below that, you will be given an INC. If below yung percentage ninyo, but again, you will be getting the no-fail policy, which is drop kapag below 50% ang inyong nakuhang grade. So important dates. Date of dropping, July 14. So this is basically before the reading break, which is, by the way, reading break is July 14 and 15. So kung magpa-file kayo ng drop, please do so before the reading break. And dun sa mga mag-file ng leave of absence or LOA, you will be given a drop, grade of drop kung sakali. And the deadline for filing such is August 5. So actually, dulo na rin ito ng SEM. So please take note of these dates kung kailangan niyo if ever. So last section, so academic dishonesty. So this is pretty standard, pero I would like to reiterate lang, as with any other course, any form of cheating in relation to studies such as plagiarism or fabrication of data shall be subject to disciplinary action. So itong disciplinary action na ito, it may include suspension for a minimum of 2 months up to expulsion. So kapag nag-cheat kayo, and of course nahuli, yung kaso nyo will be brought up to the university level. So ang decisions dyan will not just be up to me anymore, but to the higher ups ng UP. So others. So note that the course pack provided to you in any form is intended only for your use in connection with the course that you are enrolled in. It is not for distribution or sale. Permission should be obtained from your instructor for any other use for what is intended. So this concludes our orientation. So the floor is open for questions. So kung may mga tanong kayo, questions, concerns, clarifications, you can ask away through your chat box dito sa Zoom or salita lang kayo. Saan po makikita yung experiment manual? So, sige, punta tayo sa OVLE. Actually, nasa OVLE sila. So, magsa-start. Stop share. Share tayo ulit ng ating screen. So, dito sa OVLE, yan. So, dito tayo sa OVLE, di ba? So, nandito yung mga experiment worksheets natin. So, for example, punta tayo sa experiment 1. Assuming na nasa OVLE kayo, I can actually open this file here. Bagal internet ko. Ayun. So, nandito na sa OVLE mismo yung mga manuals. So, ito yung ating first experiment. So, makikita natin dito, yun, haba ng introduction. Nandito actually yung mga lessons and concepts na ating aralin. So again, we have your data sheet, questions, yun. So nandito lang sa OVLE lahat. Pero ayun, again, I informed you guys kahapon, I enrolled you guys dito sa course. So nandito na kayo lahat, dapat. If wala kayo, pakisabi sa akin dun sa Discord. Kasi pwede rin kayo mag-self-enroll kung sakali. Yung iba kasi sa inyo, merong more than one profile with the same name. So baka maling profile or name ang aking nailagay. Okay. Next question. If wala po talaga kaming kilala in the class, can we be assigned to a group na lang po? Yes po. Pwede tayong ma-assign na lang sa grupo. Again, I'm giving you guys until the end of the day. Sige, agahan natin. Gawin natin 5. Yun. Hanggang 5. kung may kakilala kayo sa klase at gusto niyo siya ang kagrupo nyo, I'm giving you guys until 5 to tell me about your grouping. And if wala, ako na lang mag-group sa inyo. And I will post it on the announcements channel sa ating Discord. Saan po pwede mag-message sa iyo ng groupings? PM nyo na lang ako sa Discord or ayun, or email or dito sa Uvle. Kahit anong channel, pwede. Pero yung Discord yung pinakamabilis, I think, for everyone involved. Mas madadalian din kayo. So, ayun, any channel. Okay, so more questions, more questions. So, wala pa so far. Okay, so dahil dyan, mag-set tayo ng ating meetings. So, let's set the actual practical na how will we conduct this course. So, basically, we will have a consultation sessions. Isi-set natin ito ng Fridays when applicable. So, gagawin ko every Friday, i-open ko yung Zoom meeting room for consultations. I will not be teaching anything dito sa consultation sessions, but rather, it will be a way for you guys to easily reach me. So, ang mangyayari dyan, pag open yung Zoom, pwede kayong pumasok at any time during class hours para magtanong-tanong sa akin about the experiment. Kung may di kayo maintindihan doon sa ginagawa ninyo. Kasi again, as I mentioned earlier, yung manual is enough. Basahin nyo lang actually talaga yung manual. Nandiyan na lahat ng tools na kailangan nyo para magawa yung experiment. Pero at the same time, I will be providing recordings of the manual. Recorded explanations pala. Recorded explanations. So basically, this will just be a video na same lang ang content sa manual natin, pero ano lang, kung mas audio-visually inclined kayo, or in other words, mas madali sa inyong makaintindi through watching and listening kaysa reading, gagawa ako ng mga recorded na videos about each experiment. So ito, I'll do my best to upload them every week para meron kayong asynchronous time para manood ng videos instead kung medyo hirap kayo basahin yung manual. Dito pala, I have to go back to our set day of Friday. So, apparently, si reading break nga pala ay Thursday, Friday. So, kapag mayroong holiday sa Friday or basta hindi pwede mag-klase sa Friday, nilipat tayo ng araw. I-announce ko na lang kapag hindi pwede ng Friday. Pero basically, kapag applicable, Friday, I'll open the Zoom meeting room at our class time para pwede kayo pumasok at any time to ask questions. So basically, itong recorded explanations, these will be uploaded to YouTube. And I will be posting the links to Discord. So isa-isa yan. Kada record ko, papost ko yan para makita niyo sa YouTube ang video itself. So based on our course calendar, you will be covering experiments 1 and 2 for this week. So dahil dyan, I will be uploading a video on experiments 1 and 2 within the week. Okay, so from now on, I guess I can stop recording.